Well, so let's dive into our guests here this morning. Sinead Byrne and Ameilia Brown, both from the Charlotte Women's Soccer Program, are joining us right now, and we want to say good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, we are excited to have you here on Inside the Game. And as we were talking kind of here a little earlier, we've had a chance to talk to a lot of coaches across the United States here over the last couple of weeks. And we're excited to have a chance to talk with both of you, even though obviously one of you is a player next to your coach, which is great as well. But my first question is for you, and Sinead, is you're the interim head coach. You've taken over this role now. I know you came in as an assistant back in January, but talk about the challenges of being an interim head coach at Charlotte here in your first year.
Yeah, it's honestly been great. What an opportunity. So came in January, lucky enough to be elevated to interim head coach, and I couldn't have inherited a better team that wanted to raise the expectations of the program, wanted to compete for a championship here straight away. And so we had a really great spring, scored a lot of goals. The girls went into the summer, worked really, really hard, and have come back ready to compete. And so we've come in, we've won 5 games. We've won more games already than they won last year. And the team are doing great. And so obviously we just got back from a long trip down to Texas there, where we were unlucky not to come back with the 6 points. We've come back with 4, and we've got a big game coming up this week here against UAB.
And that's a big role to get launched into, especially after you were at SCAD Savannah for 6 years. And I always like to mention this every interview that I can. I came from the NAIA myself, so I used to broadcast at Cornerstone University, same level. But you come from there where you guys had a lot of success, and then you're launched into this position where you were an assistant. Now you're the head coach. And that's a very quick transition. What's been the biggest leap for you going from where you were at SCAD Savannah to now? And what's been working well for you guys? Because obviously things have been clicking here early in the season.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is I feel like SCAD really prepared me for this role. I was ready. I really wanted to become a head coach. I had opportunities to leave before then, but was kind of looking for the right spot. When this job came open at Charlotte, I really wanted to come into a program that had the resources and had the location to win championships. And I felt like that's what Charlotte is. So really wanted to come in here and kind of learn what I needed to learn and then go become a head coach myself. So it happened a little bit quicker than I was expecting, but I did feel like SCAD really prepared me with the resources that they have. Yes, they're at the NAIA level, but honestly, the type of player we were recruiting at SCAD is the same type of player I'm recruiting here. We were able to get big time players that have now gone on and played at schools like Oregon and Washington State. And so we were able to bring in big time players there. So looking to do the same thing here and win championships. And hey, who knows, national championships maybe.
And Ameilia, obviously for you guys as a team, you've responded, and we've seen that. We talk about being prepared going into your senior year. You had all the tools to really kind of have a breakout season this year, and you were big down in Texas. One of the big reasons why you guys had as much success there as you did. What has it been about this season so far? What's clicked for you so far here early in this 25 season?
I feel like everyone just has the belief that this team is special and we can do something great. And so I feel like Sinead being added to the staff and Erica as well, they really just instilled this belief that like they believe in us, and that makes us believe in each other even more, honestly.
You know, I was looking at your resume a little bit here, Ameilia, before the show, and you called Minnesota your home here for a couple of seasons before coming back here to Charlotte. And the question we haven't had a chance to talk a lot of players about this, but we found over the years that players have gone to schools that maybe out of state, you know, get their feet wet there, and they want to come home for their last couple of seasons. Is that something that you decided that you wanted to do, or is there something else that led you back here to Charlotte?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to come closer to home. I actually played with my sister for 2 years at Minnesota, and she was graduating, and I honestly just wanted more playing time as well. And a lot of my old teammates, they played here, and they had a great experience, so I wanted to come and join.
No, it's really cool because we've been talking to coaches about this. The dynamics of college soccer have changed, specifically in the women's game, tremendously, right? We've talked about all the time, right? Roster sizes have changed. I can't tell you how many players, and I know it's different for you now that you're a senior, But the players who were guest last year who were committed to schools and now got uncommitted have to now try to find a new home has really created this kind of chaos in college soccer. What would be your message to the college athlete, the high school player right now who wants to go play at the next level about picking the right school or finding the right home? Because I think that's the biggest challenge in the climate today is finding a place that you can call home for 4 years.
Yeah, I feel like the best advice that I could give to young athletes is to figure out what's most important to you when finding a home, and just knowing that not like everything is not going to be perfect. You're not going to have it figured out your first year. You know, you might get one thing and you might not get another thing on your wants list. So, yeah, it's not ever going to be perfect, but it's just about figuring out what's most important to you.
You know, and I think it's a great answer, right? Because I think that the player out there today, and again, I've had conversations with a lot of players over the years, and everyone, and we even talked about this with like all the coaches we've talked to in the last couple of weeks, is that when you were growing up as a player in Cary, North Carolina, my guess is that if you're a soccer player, you were like one day saying, I would love to hoist that national championship trophy for UNC. Right, I mean, like Stanford, right? Because in the women's game, Stanford, UNC, Notre Dame, these are schools that traditionally have been like they've won many national championships. And when we talk to players or talk to athletes, it's like in your backyard, I'm thinking about catching that ball from Tom Brady, as a Patriot, right? So it's like, how do players differentiate between what their dream might be of playing at that next level versus the realistic or the reality of where they might be able to go?
No, I mean that it is really hard, honestly, because my sister, she was originally at UNC, and then she transferred to Minnesota, and then so we had 2 years together. And yeah, it's just about being realistic. That's all it is. And like sometimes the truth hurts, but you'd rather again, it's just about like what you want. You can go to UNC and you could ride the bench and still get a national championship, or you can go to a smaller school and still win a conference championship and go to the NCAA tournament and still do amazing things.
I wanted to ask you very quickly, because I think in order to be successful in this space, especially in women's soccer in the United States, there has to be a certain level of competitiveness, because this country is very deep when it comes to the women's game, specifically when it comes to soccer. I didn't even realize until I was reading up on you a little bit yesterday. Your dad, Chucky Brown, was drafted into the NBA in 1989. I completely didn't put two and two together, and he was kind of a journeyman. He played all over the NBA, but very successful college career. Someone that certainly made his name. And if you play that many years in the show, I mean, clearly you've done enough good work, and he's still a coach to this day. How much did he help kind of build that competitive nature in you? Because it seems like both you and your sister have that. How much of that came from Dad and the impact that he had on your early career?
A lot, for sure. And honestly, I feel like when you say like my dad was in the NBA, it was probably like he made me work out. It was never like that. It was all optional. I feel like that's what made it more inviting to go out to the field and go into the gym with him, because he was always, I'm going to the gym. Do you want to come with? Me and Isabella are doing this. Do you want to come with? So, yeah. And I also think looking up to my sister, just like seeing all the amazing things that she did, I just wanted to be like her. So it was really looking up to both of them. So I love them so much.
Did you turn Dad into a soccer fan when you started playing? I'm sure he became a big time fan when you started playing.
Yeah, he doesn't really understand everything though. So he
knows the ball has to go to the goal. So that's
yeah.
That's the gist.
Yes, he's a basketball awesome. Coach. And that's it.
And on the other side, Coach, I just wanted to ask you very quickly, because I know obviously when you climb levels, you talk about not only different sets of expectations, but you also talk about just a completely different landscape. And I think that's the thing that's interesting. We talk about everything that's changing in college athletics. A lot of that has to do with, well, what level are you at? Because depending on what level you're at, not only, again, the expectations change, but everything else changes along with that. When it comes to culture setting and developing that personal relationship with players, obviously Ameilia being one of them, that's one of the most important things, at least from what we've heard from coaches. when you were first put into this position of taking over as interim head coach, what was step number one in getting the players to buy into your vision? And have you seen that buy-in early this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, step one was being clear and concise and honest. And so I have extremely high expectations. And it's so funny to me when people talk about the levels, because my expectations have not changed. Like when I knew I wanted to be a coach, my expectations were high. That's not going to change as I move up through the levels here. And so that has remained constant. And the girls have really bought into that. And so being clear and concise with those, them knowing if they don't meet those expectations, what those consequences are. And they really got on board with that. And so they love doing push-ups, don't you?
Yeah.
Builds character.
But yeah, no, the girls are great. We've got a great group, great leadership, great captains.
You know, we've as we've talked about here throughout this show and throughout the last couple of weeks, we've had a chance to talk to a lot of coaches across the country, and we've talked to a lot of women's soccer head coaches over the last couple of weeks. And something that we talked about here even before the show is that we have yet to. This is our first interview with a women's soccer coach who happens to also be a woman, and I want to talk about that for a moment because again, in this space, when we see all these, and I cover a lot of college sports. I know, Nate, you do as well. In the women's game, we see a tremendous amount of men still coaching collegiate athletics. What is your thoughts about that as a woman in your role as a coach here, and how can we get more women in the head coaching roles across this country?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think honestly, it's opportunity, right? And so I wouldn't have gotten the interim tag here if I hadn't pushed myself out of my comfort zone and tried to not be comfortable at SCAD. I mean, obviously I had everything I really needed there, loved the location, but I knew I wanted to be a head coach at the Division 1 level. And so I had to push myself. I was lucky enough for a women's soccer coach to take a chance on me. And I do think that we just need to get more women onto staff at this level. I think it's unfortunate when we go and play and a women's soccer staff and the entire staff is men. I do think we need to get more women on the staff to give them an opportunity, and not just in the GA roles or the director of ops roles, like get them coaching. If women want to coach, we have to give them the opportunity. And then I think US Soccer is doing a really good job. I mean, I'm involved with US Soccer through the She Believes program and trying to get women into coaching. Ameilia wants to coach and she's just finished her D license. And so trying to get women through that quicker, especially while they're still playing, I think, and letting them know that is an opportunity for them here is integral.
Yeah, no, I think it's great because, again, and Ameilia, you can maybe attest to this. You have this desire to coach, right? You have this desire. How many of your fellow teammates had that same desire? I mean, because obviously it comes from the standpoint, too, that I wanted to coach. I knew as a player that I wanted to one day be a coach, so I became a coach. I also wanted to referee, so I did both of those things. And now I'm a broadcaster, so I guess I've done all the things you could possibly do in the sport. So how many of the players do you think that you are around you that want to be a coach as well?
I feel like of the teams that I've been on, I feel like only like 2 people have wanted to coach. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing to say, but I just think people have different ambitions and that's fine. But yeah, shout out Sophia Romine and Macy Bader, I guess.
No, that's that's really. I mean, again, that's the thing too. It's just like with refereeing too, and how many players want to become a ref? Because let's be honest, the best referees are former players, and I would imagine that just like when I was growing up, there were only a handful of kids that I played with that ever thought, hey, I want to go pick up that whistle and become a referee. I'm curious in that how many players have you ever refereed a game before?
Me?
Yeah. Have you ever refereed? Have you ever gotten to refereeing at all or no? No,
I've never. I'm normally the one yelling.
We need more of those, though. We need more referees too.
We had a practice. When was that? Last week or the week before, where I was the referee, calling some wild calls, and let me tell you, that practice went downhill real quick. Jeez.
No, that's awesome. So, my last question, because I know Nate's going to have a couple follow up questions as well, is we asked Ameilia about destination, about why she came back to Charlotte, back to North Carolina. We've talked with all these different conferences, and again, when we talk about the player who's looking to go and play at that next level, there are what we call destination schools, right? And we typically your Power Five or your if you're an athlete, you want to go play for the highest, the best conference, the best team in the conference, right? And typically that's the Power Five, right? And so like you chose Minnesota, Big Ten. It's a big time school, big program, and you found your successes, and then hey, you found out, hey, I want to go here and come back home. The player out there who's like wants to maybe consider coming to Charlotte, why would they pick Charlotte over another university in the same conference? And more importantly, maybe decide not to go to a Minnesota to start their career and be at Charlotte and be there for their entire 4 years?
Yeah, I'll start. You can follow up. I think for me, I never wanted to go to and coach at a program that couldn't win. And so I think that's massive that we have the resources, the location, and the school's backing to be successful here. We're in a conference that can win championships, and we're in a really good conference. I mean, we're in, there's teams in our conference ranked in the top 25. There's no doubt in my mind that we can be ranked up there too and be going to the tournament and actually beat these Power Four teams. I mean, we played quite a few of them non-conference. And so I think we're in and around. And so I think it's just up to the player do you want to go to maybe a Power Four and it's not one of the top 4 or 5s in the conference. And so you're just getting beat up every week. Or do you want to win? Right. And so if you want to win, you need to come here and win because we're going to win championships here. And let me tell you, it's much more fun winning championships and getting to go to the tournament instead of saying you played at the Power Four level, but you don't get to go to the tournament and you don't win. And so that's big for me. We're going to create winners here. What would you add?
No, I feel like you said it. Again, like winning is amazing. I love winning. Who likes to lose? So yeah, I also think it's about standing out and finding your school where you do that. Because again, like playing time is a big reason why I transferred. And like for some people it's different. But yeah, I wanted to stand out and I wanted to make my impact not only on like for myself, but also on the program. And I want to leave a good legacy. So
Absolutely.
Before I get to the final question of this interview, I wanted to very quickly ask Ameilia something, because we've talked a lot about the transfer portal on this show. We've talked to a lot of coaches and we've talked to a lot of individuals, but we haven't gotten the opportunity to talk to someone who has specifically gone through that process, which in my mind, it seems pretty straightforward, sure. But there's also an element there of having to, number one, make that decision and make that change, which is hard. And change is hard. It doesn't matter who it is, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a coach. And so making that change and making that decision and having to tell the people at Minnesota, like, hey, I'm leaving, is probably a somewhat difficult process to go through. From your perspective, I guess if you were to summarize, what does that process look like going into the transfer portal and finding a new home and coming home back to North Carolina?
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy process, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. So that is the advice I also give to other players. But honestly, making the decision to go into the portal, it wasn't an immediate like, oh, I'm leaving. It definitely took some time and talking to people I trust, my family and teammates. Yeah, when I made that decision, it definitely is scary, but I knew it was the right decision for me. And I would rather go into a decision or make a decision where like it seems scary than stay in a situation where I know it's not going to change. So yeah, it's just about what's doing best for you. And you're jumping into the unknown because you don't know if schools are going to reach out to you, and stuff like that. But yeah, I just had confidence in myself and I knew I was a good player and I was going to go somewhere. So yeah.
What helped you the most in taking that risk? Was there someone who was helping you through that process?
Probably my mom. I feel like she's not the most athletic person, even though she'd like to make it seem like she is. So when it comes to like working out and stuff, I go to my dad. But when it comes to like moral support, my mom is definitely the person I go to. And like any time where like I'm doubting myself, like I'm not going to get picked up, stuff like that, she's the first person to call and be like, "You're amazing, sweetie. You're awesome."
I love moms. It's the greatest.
Yeah, it's needed.
I do want to ask this question because I think that and everyone's journey is going to be different, right? Everyone's going to have a different outcome, and I always say this because the grass isn't always greener, right? That's something that my dad taught me growing up too. Like, hey, before you make that jump, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, right? And I think there's a lot of players out there that have used the transfer portal to do what you've done, but then you're finding some players who are going to, they're going here, then they're going the next year, the next place, right? They're trying to find their home, and maybe they didn't make the right decision the first time around. Now they're on that second or that third decision. You obviously had a great support system to help guide you, right? You had your parents, and you had your sister. What would be the advice to that player too, right? Who maybe there's that uncertainty about what you're about to walk into. Because again, if you think about this too, you came in last year, you had another head coach. Now you have you have Sinead there. But if you'd come in now as a senior with an interim coach, that's a little different, right? So there's different dynamics at play here. I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, again, I feel like it's just give and take. So whatever is most important to you. And again, like there are things at Minnesota that I don't have here, and there's things here that I didn't have at Minnesota. And it's not that one school or one experience is better than the other. I love both of my experiences at both schools. But yeah, I just feel like not everything is going to be picture perfect the way you want it to be. So it's just about making the best of what you have and the people who are around you.
All right, I got one more question for you guys. I'm going to put you on the spot here. And I love North Carolina I love Carolina in general for whatever it's worth. I've actually been through Charlotte a couple of different times, most of the times going south. If I were to come back, though, because I don't remember the last place I went to. I think it was a steakhouse of some sort the last time I was in Charlotte. Can't remember the name. Good stuff. But if I were to come back, if any of us were to come back, what's the one place we should go to get food in your mind?
This is the perfect question.
Don't give me a chain restaurant. Don't give me a chain restaurant. Someone said Panera the other day, and I almost came through the screen. Or Olive Garden.
No. I'm such a foodie. You have to go to a restaurant called Spaghetti. And so it's just opened. Sam Hart's the chef there. He also has another restaurant called Counter, which is a tasting menu. Unbelievable. But go to Spaghetti.
Okay.
It's called Baguette?
Spaghetti.
Oh, spaghetti. I just want to make sure.
Baguette.
Spaghetti. Yeah. The accent really got us there.
Honestly, I don't really go to restaurants.
Yeah. Amelia's too busy. She does like magic sushi, though.
Yes, sushi is good.
Big magic sushi fan. It's an all-you-can-eat sushi.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Spaghetti pilot looks really bougie.
No, it is, but I am really.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at their menu. Yeah, it's
yeah, it's bougie, but I am a massive foodie. So this is perfect.
Hey, wait, so you're saying you don't go out at all, Ameilia? You said sushi's
Well, like the stuff is in Uptown, so it's like a 20-minute drive, and it's like I have class and we have practice. Do I really want to drive 20 minutes out and then like get dressed and stuff? I'm like, I'll just DoorDash. I'll just
okay.
Get
So what are you
out.
getting on DoorDash then?
Sushi, and I got a poke bowl yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah. She's just ordering sushi on DoorDash. All right, well there it is. Dior de Chez, along with spaghetti.
That's this generation, folks. DoorDash.
Well, we want to thank both of you for joining us this morning. We had a blast. Hopefully you did as well. And we wish you and the 49ers much success here the rest of the way.
Thank you so much. We're excited. Thank you for having us on.